Shalom.
Shalom. You know, you're only as old as your ability to process new information. You're only as old as your ability to process new information, man. That's a drop quote from the brother Fonte, man. If you know Fonte, man, then you a real hip-hop head, you know what I'm saying? Let's go. We active, man. We active back in Flat Drop. And we've been surfing the wave, man. We've been surfing the wave, and some of y'all brought this up. We played this, I don't know how many years ago, and it's oh so relevant. It's oh so relevant when we dig on the maps like the one that we were digging on, right? I still want to know what's in this, hidden rectangle here, man. What's over here, man? Why they hiding this joint, man? Yo, shout out to the bro. Shout out to the bro Sibs on IG, on Insta, Sibs on Insta. If you know Sibs, man, you know that he's active, man, and showing you those mountain formations and the giants and the mountains. And if you're on IG, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But he got at me to get a copy of this, like a lot of you did. So I hope everyone got their copy, man. I've been returning emails for days because I promised to give everybody who asked me for a copy of this file, I got it to you. So some of y'all been active, man. I didn't know Sibs, man. You know what I'm saying? I told Drop Nation go crazy. Sibs stepped up and said, I got you, man. I got you. And he started digging on, breaking this image down and, various filters here. So we got a filter. I don't know which one he's using on each one, but, I'll just kind of go through them. And he said a lot of stuff started coming out. A lot of things started being revealed. You can see a lot of topography as you start messing with these filters again, man. What are they hiding in this rectangular block here? But yeah, some great filters. And if you want a copy of these joints, definitely get at me. I'll give you a copy of the filter images as well. We are on an investigation, but let me know, man. Do y'all see something? The more I look at this, I don't know, man. Today, I know there's a lot of these streaks here. This one in particular almost looks like a dang on arrow pointing to this little pond or whatever this is here. Now try to figure out. Again, this is 1972 Worksheeld USA Archives, all right? And we're going to get into some of these satellites that were launched in 1972. We're on an investigation. We don't have the exact source, per se, of this particular file. It says down at the bottom, Flat Earth Secret Worksheeld USA Archives, 1972. So we started researching what satellites were launched in 1972. And what we come up with is that was the end of the Apollo missions. That was like the last year of the Apollo missions, at least what we were told was going on. And what were the Apollo missions really about? Just take yourself off the ball for a second, all right? Deflate your ball for a second and just say, what if? What if all that was a hoax? What if all this NASA moon landing is a hoax? What if the ball Earth is a hoax? Why? What are they hiding? Why would they do that? Drop. Because they want you to believe this is all the land you got. But get part, we'll get the previous, drop that we did. We're just continuing this into a new flat drop series. So, consider this part 2, of this flat drop series. But yeah, they want you to think this is all we got, right? And I get it. I too have questions, about this photo. Of course, we got to look at it with open eyes. The main thing here is that they're clearly hiding something. Clearly hiding something, whether you're going off of this image here, the original drop, to the filter drop right here. Clearly they're hiding something. So would they be hiding something in a hoax photo? You know what I'm saying? Now pay attention to the topography, man. We're gonna check out, we're gonna fall back in this classroom and just, check out some great drops, some great videos, man. I mean, it's gonna be a body bag, layer by layer, octave on octave. We're gonna go up in dimensions and just keep slicing and dicing the hijack on every single, level of the game. You know what I mean? Of course, in the Pacific, we're used to seeing much more water. This barrier seems like almost it's dang near connected with the top of North America. You know what I mean? Does that have anything to do with the Agartha, North Pole situation? But on the flat plane, I mean, where's your poles? There's no really North Pole, South Pole if you have infinite land or some, extremity of land that we can't even fathom. You know what I'm saying? So on this filter here, it seems like much more land. Like this is all land, whether it's covered by ice or not. Remember the Perry-Reese map has Antarctica with no ice, right? So what section is that? You know what I'm saying? It appeared to be the part connected to the bottom of South America. So, you know what I mean? Now this part right here, is this water or is this land? Let's go to another filter. And again, love to Sibs on Insta for the drop. I knew y'all had, some software, man, to start playing with this, man. So I really appreciate this from Sibs. All right, another filter right here. I'm just going to kind of go through these filters and let you dig on it. Again, man, where they hiding over here, right? Where they hiding. And again, in part one, there was a drop that said this is Earth Pond 1. Earth Pond 1. They called it Earth Pond 1. Remember the Antarctic Treaty protecting the barrier, right, of the Middle Earth. Now, this seems to be where it's all happening, man. You know what I mean? But that's just our perspective. Yeah, things pop out like, this, what's this? Is this reflect? I mean, let's go back. You see on this one, you don't see that pop out. Let's go back to the original. That's something right there. Wow. I mean, man, this is bizarre. This is bizarro. This is bizarro. The question is 1972. If all that shit is bullshit, the question is, were these satellites snapping images in 1972? First, we have to confirm that there were satellites being launched in 1972. We got to add this up like an investigator, right? Detective, right? So, all right, if this is a 1972 snapshot, were there any satellites in the area at that time being launched to even make this a plausible situation that this could be coming from one of these, government space launches? And again, this is a government, situation, right? Because, you got at the bottom right, 1972, USA Archive. So it would make sense that this was taken from a government satellite or government rocket or space shuttle. You know what I'm saying? But we're going to talk about the stratosphere, the mesosphere. Huh? What happens in the mesosphere, Mesoamerican? We're just talking dragons, right? We're just talking sprites. We're just talking elves. All these terminologies for these lightnings and unexplained phenomena that's happening in the Mesosphere. I mean, we're just talking about the layers, August Picard launched into the Stratosphere, the same as connected with Amadeo Giannini, Worlds Beyond the Poles. They're launching off. They're taking stratospheric experimentation, just like you can do your own independent balloon test, put some money together, get a balloon, put it as high as you can, get a camera on that thing, and see if you have perspective. And there's a lot of that on YouTube. Just look up independent balloon experiments, flat Earth. You're gonna see a lot of that pop up. So we covered a lot of that before. Let's stay focused on this investigation. Oh boy, I'm just saying, what is that? How does that just pop up? Let's keep going. All right, so we don't really get all that here, but you do get a lot of topography. You can clearly start seeing these mountainous situations, right? And back to these joints. So this is more water. I mean, just put it together. If this is more water, if this is more water, clearly you're going to have more land, more life outside of the Earth you think exists. 1972, huh? What other satellites were in the area at the time? We got to interview all the satellites. It's one of my favorite ones right here, man. It's one of my favorite ones right here. Yeah, man. Sibs did his thing, man. You did your thing, Sibs. You did your theasy, man. You did your theasy with this one. I like this one a lot, man. You can really see the clear height popping off of the barrier called Antarctica. The only continent you got to climb up hundreds of feet to get on top of, right? It's a barrier, that's why. You don't just climb up on continents, man. It's a barrier, man. And it surrounds us. So where's north? Where's south? Where's east? Where's west? On an infinite plane. And yeah, the hollow earth theory does play with Admiral Byrd as well. We're going to get some of that Admiral Byrd drop next. Yeah, the hollow earth theory definitely plays. However, you got to focus all that. It's not just about the ball being hollow. It's about the levels to the game. That just means that there's levels to the game. You know what I mean? That there's something within these layers. So underneath all this is a whole nother world. On top of all this is a whole nother world. That's all we're talking about. So with Admiral Byrd, his whole flight that supposedly went into this type of, vortex situation. And he said he met a whole nother civilization within the earth. So we're just talking about within another layer, within another level. Whether we're talking about, somewhere beneath the North Pole, which is really the center, just like your compass is always going to point to the magnetic north, right? The magnetic mountain, Mount Meru, right? So your compass is always going to point north. So, whether you're over here, whether you're over here, it's going to always point to the center. This is the magnetic so-called north. Perhaps, right? Perhaps. We just know that we're not just talking up, down, left, right no more. Man, we're just surfing the wave. So again, love to Sibs. This is dope. If you want these filter drops, again, man, what is going on, man? What's going on back here, though? Let me know if you see anything interesting that, I'm missing, man. I'm turning this investigation over to you, Drop Nation. I know y'all got the heavy bars, man. I know y'all gonna make some sense out of this. It definitely seems like you can start seeing the differentiation between the land, water, perhaps. These things start sticking up, almost look like peaks of mountains or pyramids. And we're going to get a shot in the Admiral Byrd voyage, man, some secret footage, man. And you're going to see some of these pyramids, man. Man, it look like an arrow to me, man. What you pointing at right there? What you pointing at? Oh, man. What's going on? What's going on? All right. Something or nothing, y'all. Is it something or nothing at all? Some people say, hey, it's a hoax, it's fake, it's this. Hey, man, I'll show you a hoax. I'll show you a hoax, man. You want to talk hoaxes? Where do we begin? Oh, it's a hoax, man. It's so fake. The more I look at it, the more fake. And you know what? You know what looks real fake to me, man? The more I look at it. Oh, man. There should be at least one real picture of the earth, man, on the internet, G. So don't give me nothing about us investigating when you can't give us a damn picture unless there are real pictures, right? Unless there are real pictures. Real or fake. Real or fake. Real or fake. These amazing NASA images show Earth from... Okay. So this is a picture that they're actually claiming to be a real picture. Real or fake. Where's the stars, homie? Where's the stars, man? Quadrillions of stars out there. Not one gets captured. Not one bright star popping off, huh? We know NASA got the painters, they got the graphics, they got all this, and they still make this look like a fake marble. These amazing NASA images show Earth. Real or fake? They claim this is real. Real or fake? Come on, y'all, we could do it. We could do it together. Real or fake? Does all your land fit into a marble with no stars behind it? Come on, man, you a grown-ass man now. You know what I'm saying? Sister, you grown now. Open your eyes. Open your eyes. Real or fake? I'm gonna rock with this into further investigation. So let's continue our investigation. Let's continue our investigation. So yeah, let's get this again. Remember this beautiful commercial, man? Shout out to Hennessy, man. Shout out to Gio Atero. Let's dig on it. Just dig on the visuals with me. So it's supposed to be August Picard. We're going to get some more on this drop. But it's definitely reality. All right, in 1933, I believe. Launched it off, popped it off. All right, so he's leaving this atmosphere. He's headed to the stratosphere. Remember, the creator said, I separated the water from the water. Man, can you believe somebody really took that ride, man? We ain't talking NASA, man. Bang, splash. We ain't talking NASA, man. We're talking independent scientists and researchers went way up, miles and miles. I think about over 10 miles, 11 miles. And this is the you know what I'm saying, story, you know what I mean, that bang, they splashed through that water, man. They entered into the stratosphere. We're going to talk stratosphere and mesosphere. Splash. The water. Drop Nation got the water. So once you separate that barrier, you're in the water above. And I mean, I wonder what you do see when you splash into the upper waters. These are just their graphics of what they believe he saw. What did he see? What's the drop? What's the drop? What's the drop? So we're going to get more on this. You know what I mean? Some beautiful visuals, to say the least. Who got the drop? 1931. It said August Picard became the first man to reach the stratosphere. The stratosphere, man. What's the stratosphere, man? The stratosphere is a layer of Earth's atmosphere. It is the second layer of the atmosphere as you go upward. The troposphere, the lowest layer, is right below the stratosphere. The next higher layer above the stratosphere is the mesosphere. So we're just talking about the second layer as you go upward. Then you got the troposphere, the lowest layer is right below. So we're in the troposphere now. Then you go stratosphere, then you go mesosphere. So we're going to get more on this. The bottom of the stratosphere is around 10 kilometers or 6 miles. 6.2 miles or about 33,000 feet. So how high do they say an airplane flies, commercial airplane, dig on it, 30,000 feet, something like that. So they're right at that point, man. You know what I'm saying? The top of the stratosphere occurs at an altitude of 50 kilometers, 31 miles. The height of the bottom of the stratosphere varies with latitude, and with the seasons, the lower boundary of the stratosphere can be as high as 20 kilometers or 12 miles, or 65,000 feet near the equator, and as low as 7 kilometers, 4 miles, 23,000 feet at the poles in winter. The lower boundary of the stratosphere is called the troposphere. The upper boundary, the stratosphere. The ozone, an unusual type of oxygen molecule that is relatively abundant in the stratosphere, heats this layer as it absorbs energy from incoming ultraviolet radiation from the sun. All right. We're going to get way more on that. Let's go back here. So in 1931, Auguste Piccard became the first man to reach the stratosphere. And the Giannini, F. Armadillo Giannini, Worlds Beyond the Pole, breaks down this experimentation around the 20s, 27, 29, something like that. So we got a lot to correlate. We got a lot of good documentation to correlate with. Now, as we dig on this image here, man, and we talk about this boundary, let's keep this particular orientation in mind as we dig on this Admiral Byrd, Richard Byrd, secret footage of this expedition popping off. Rare footage. Love to. God rules. All right. Admiral Byrd, Antarctic expedition. Rare, real footage. Rare, real footage. Let's go.
Talking about the spiriting out of the two spacecraft out of Berlin before the Allies arrived. We said that they were put aboard two submarines. They spent 6 months at sea, and they finally landed in Argentina. Now, from that point, they were taken into Antarctica, into a section of Antarctica called Queen's Maud's Land. And there they disappeared, and they were not heard of for some time. Now, intelligence sources, and of course I was in the intelligence business at that time with the agency, reports indicated that they were in there and they were operative once again. Now, there was a major concern by world powers to go in and capture the technology and the two spacecraft which they knew were in Antarctica. And the intelligence reports indicated that one known as Admiral Byrd was to be recommissioned, and he was to be sent in there to
Whoa, so they're looking for spacecraft. Now keep that orientation in mind, because you're just talking about more worlds beyond the pole. Whether you're talking about inner Earth spacecraft or, extraplanetary plane, more worlds across the plane with high technology, just like we had here. All right, this is not foreign to America. This technology. You're just talking Atlantis, right? You're just talking Mu. You're just talking high-level civilization of Negro Nagas. Don't think of it as these so-called whites and all this stuff. They're trying to explore this stuff. They're trying to figure this out. We're out of our minds listening to them as they explore us. So we must have a dragonfly perspective. What's it say here? And now there came both ice and snow. And it grew wondrous cold and ice, mast high, came floating by, as green as emerald. Ice, mast high, came floating by, as green as emerald. Green ice. Almost reminds me of that iron sulfate situation. Rhyme of the ancient mariner.
Retrieve the two saucers and also the technology and personnel associated with it.
But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other
That's crazy. What's this rectangle about, man? All these rectangles, man.
Side of the South Pole from Middle America. An area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being.
One more time.
been seen by a human being.
What? Hold up.
To be recommissioned, and he was to be sent in there to retrieve the two saucers and also the technology and personnel associated with it.
But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America.
Stop. Let's pull up this, let's see. Let's go. Yeah, that one. Well, what's that? Wall of, man, what's this? What's this situation? Okay, this is off of wiki.tfes.org. All right, we've seen something like this before. This wall. He's talking about getting to more land, right? More land. Now this one right here, though, looks very similar almost, man. Right. Very similar. You see how high this ice wall goes, man. How come the water don't fly off, man? Now it looks like right here it says, hope I can get this bigger. All right, North Pole Arctic regions, okay. See how the North Pole's right in the center? Magnetic north. Wall of ice surrounding the flat world. Wall of ice surrounding the flat world. Okay, all right. Drop Nation, we are on an investigation. And another great question is on the firmament, right? So we know that the scripture, whether you're talking about, the Tanakh, whether you're talking about the Quran, whatever you're talking about, describes the earth as firm, fixed, and immovable. So we know it's scripture. Now we also know we got a firmament. Now the question is, how does this firmament situation work out? Some people, because of certain models or images or graphics, they say, oh, the firmament must just be like this over this area. But that's just because they believe that the firmament is covering the world that the world we know. All right. If there's much more earth ponds than we, can't even imagine, how big is this firmament really? Is it something that can be captured from this distance in a snapshot? So don't rule out the firmament just because it doesn't cover the earth All right. You got to empty your cup. Remember, man, you're only as old as your ability to process new information. Don't be stuck in your ways. We're talking about the wall of ice surrounding the flat world. Let's get a little bit more. Oh, hold up, because he's talking about saying Earth. Let me get this over here, because I'm definitely going to want this. Actually, keep that right there. Yeah, man. So, again, this is a map, Japanese map that says over 1,000 years old, done by some Chinese priest. Who is Prester John? 1,000 years ago. China, where's China? Let's go. All right. So he's saying past South America, I believe. He found another piece of land the size of America. Let's get that again.
But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America.
Beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle Earth, right? Middle America, Middle Earth. Well, no matter which way he goes, he's going to find land the size of America and Africa and, all that. Asia, right? How many Asias, according to the Japanese or the Chinese over 1,000 years ago, how many Americas are there? How many Asias are there or Africas are there? How many are there really? How many are there beyond the ice wall? Beyond the ice wall. Let's keep going.
An area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being.
Never been seen.
And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America.
Later reports indicated that Admiral Byrd was given 8 months and unlimited funding to go in and pull this thing successfully off. But we also know that within 8 weeks he was totally defeated. Now, the supposition at that point was that...
Defeated. So he went for war. He didn't go to explore. Another keyword, you're talking about people discovering new worlds like Columbus and them, like the Spaniards and conquistadors, the French, whoever, British, whoever. They're looking for new worlds. They didn't come to explore with their missionaries. Their missionaries came on a military mission. Let's disarm these Nagas. Let's disarm these Khans over here. Let's hijack their spirit, hijack their mind, and hijack their body at the same time. They were defeated in less than 8 weeks by what?
There was an advanced civilization and technology, most probably alien. They were with the Third Reich and the SS, who was in Antarctica, and that those great and developed technologies were used to defeat Admiral Byrd. And of course...
We're just talking about dragons. Y'all better go check out P-91, is it Dragon Fighter? P-91 Dragon Fighter, something like that. Man, they got dragons with swastikas tattooed on them, being controlled by the Vril. Look up the Vril, right? These sorcerer, witch chicks, witch chicks. And they were able to sing these songs to the dragons to control them. It's completely, hijacking, the minds of the dragons, man. So P-91 Dragon Fighter, I think is what it's called. P-91 Dragon Fighter. Yeah, go check it out, man. What were they defeated by? They say something might be alien, but it whooped their ass.
Third Reich and the SS, who was in Antarctica, and that those great and developed technologies were used to defeat Admiral Byrd. And of course, as it turns out, even to date, they're still there. We never did successfully get them.
They're still there. Make sure I got that film right, man. Y'all can check it out. P-91. Let's see. Is it P-91? P-51. Now, they only gave it a star and a half, but this is a good movie, man. Let me tell you, man, it's a good movie, man. P-91 Dragonfire. As World War II rages on, the Allies are about to push the Nazis out of North Africa. That's when the Nazis turn up the heat. Come on, man. Hijack City. What kind of advertisement is this? Goodness gracious. Come on, man. All right. Let's do it again. As World War II rages on, right? He's talking about Hitler already being there, the Nazis already being there, and they whooped their ass with some super technology, some secret weapon, right? The Allies are about to push the Nazis out of North Africa when the Nazis turn up the heat, literally the heat, the fire, unleashing their secret weapon, dragons. I can't make this shit up. It's right there. How come you never heard about this movie? Now, when you look at this, these dragons got Nazi tattoos, and they're only breeding female dragons because they know they can't control the male dragon. So the scientists are all worried. They're like, well, what happens if a male pops out? Because it's known to happen that, you breed females a certain way. Eventually, you're going to get a male. And they said, shit, that'll be a wrap. We got to kill it quick. But one did survive, and you see how this male treated these hijacks. Dragon fire right quick, right fast at you. You know what I mean? So go check this out. Of course, they're going to rate it low, so they don't want you to look at it, right? But we're just talking dragons and Nazis. Let's go back. Let's go back. I mean, we're putting this together in real time.
And that those great and developed technologies were used to defeat Admiral Byrd. And of course, as it turns out, even to date, they're still there. We never did successfully get them.
It was a year and a half ago in January 2015. I received an email from a retired 60-year-old U.S. Navy petty officer, first class flight engineer. He asked me to only call him Brian to protect him because he works in an aerospace company today. He entered the U.S. Navy in 1977 and retired 20 years later in 1997 from the military. He and his C-130 crew encountered high strangeness in Antarctica from 1995 to 1996 several times.
High strangeness. So our airplanes are fake dragons. That little airplane you just saw, that's a fake dragon. You're going to see what happens in the movie P-51 Dragon Fighter when real dragons go up against these little fake dragon machine toys. You know what I mean? These things can't maneuver anywhere like a real dragon can. That's why they keep trying to make them more sophisticated. The B-2 stealth this, because they're trying to emulate dragons, man. Dragons go stealth. Dragons go, beneath your radar. You know what I mean? You can't even pick it up. You know what I mean? They disappear on your ass. They reappear. They turn into a butterfly on your ass. You don't know what's going to happen when you deal with a real dracon. So notice everything you're seeing in a $1 billion, $1 trillion budget is just to try to counter what happened here. You got to listen closely, man. Again, P-51 Dragon Fighter, dragons and Nazis, dragons and Nazis. And when you put it together, what are they talking about?
Technologies were used to defeat Admiral Byrd. And of course, as it turns out, even to date, they're still there. We never did successfully get in the SS who was in Antarctica. And that those great and developed technologies were used to defeat Admiral Byrd. And of course, as it turns out, even to date, they're still there. We never.
Those great and developed technologies were used to defeat Admiral Byrd. We just talking Nazis, secret weapons, great and developed technology. They're calling the dragons technology.
Did successfully get them.
It was a year and a half ago in January 2015. I received an email from a rapidly moving silver disk over the Trans-Antarctic Mountains. Brian and his crew also saw a huge football field-sized hole in the ice, only about 5 to 10 miles from the geographic South Pole that was supposed to be a no-fly zone. But during an emergency medevac crisis, to speed up their trip, they flew across that no-fly zone and saw apparently what they were not supposed to see. A huge hole in the ice that looked like it was an entrance to an underground installation.
This is rare, real footage, people. Why don't they ever talk about Antarctica except you hear that every president be going to Antarctica, right? Every president be crossing the barrier, right? Every president got to cross this barrier. With technology, with civilization. They have to get help. You don't think they got help? Your opposition always had dragons too, man. Every war had dragons on both sides or angels on both sides. They gotta have help. Maybe their help is just, right around the corner. I mean, we're just talking about the Antarctic Treaty, right? Of 1959. Agreement signed by 12 nations in which Antarctica continent was made demilitarized. That means super militarized. So they did a treaty that lasts to this day. To this day. Antarctic Treaty and related arguments or agreements, collectively known as Antarctic Treaty System, ATS, regulate international relations with respect to Antarctica, Earth's only continent without native human population. Huh? You believe that? For the purpose of the treaty system, Antarctica is defined as all of the land and ice shelves south of 60 degrees south latitude. The treaty entered into force 1961 and currently has 54 parties, 54 powers. The treaty sets aside Antarctica as a scientific preserve or a boundary to keep you niggas out. Establishes freedom of scientific investigation. They get to investigate. They get to explore. There's no more Admiral Byrds. This secret rare footage, you ain't gonna see nothing like this ever again. Ever again. This is their treaty. This is their treaty to guard the berry. To guard Earth Pond 1, right?
Later at camp near Marie Birdland, some dozen scientists disappeared for 2 weeks. When they reappeared, Brian's flight crew was assigned to pick them up, and all were silent and appeared scared. Brian and his C-130 crew received orders to not talk about the silver discs, or the huge ice holes, or the missing scared scientists. Repeatedly, the crew was sternly told that they did not see what they kept seeing.
What do you see? What do you see in Antarctica? Is this what we picking up? Let's get these filters. Love to the homie, man. Sibs, man. Let's check these filters, Sibs. Let's check them out. You see any pyramids? It could be a gang of them. It could be a gang of them. And if we're just talking pyramids, then again, you got to go back to the Paris map, because the Paris map shows Antarctica with no ice in the 1500s. And we say, was there a recent freeze over? Some type of magic spell being put over this whole area to freeze it up, to preserve it for research purposes? Man, what do you see? Rare, real footage, Antarctic pyramid.
But Brian was never asked to sign an official non-disclosure agreement. So now that he's retired from the Navy while still working in civilian aerospace, Brian wanted to share what he has seen and experienced with me at Earth Files, because he is convinced that an alien presence is living and working on this planet.
The stories that I've uncovered about the inner Earth is that they were trying to establish contact with a civilization living in the inner Earth, which was considered so basically this is a colony, a presence in the whole Earth that has been established with a shoulder-to-shoulder cooperation of the Russians and Americans, organized, orchestrated, and performed
with the Russians. So all this talk about the Cold War and Russia against America. This has been the dialogue of bullshit since way back when.
Through the quiet cooperation of the Illuminati government.
After World War II, a military
If you need a hearing aid,
My bad, man. You know what I'm saying? You know how these people get. You know how these people get, man. You know how these people get, man. Let's go. Let's go.
tried to recover the vanished technology. The extraterrestrials let him enter the inner Earth to the Golden City. They delivered a request message for disarmament to the government of the United States. Admiral Byrd had to remain silent until his death. But after
Y'all heard that? Golden City, right? Cities of gold.
he died, his nephew published his diary.
He was one of the last great explorers, an authentic trailblazer, and ticker-tape parade hero like his friend Lindbergh. Everyone knew about Admiral Richard Byrd in much the way that in another generation everyone knew about John Glenn. The handsome admiral's expeditions to the North and South Poles held the nation spellbound and sold lots of newspapers and books. And no one.
So this was the same thing that's going on with the space race later on with the Apollo. We're going to get that. It's the same thing. They just flipped it. Now you got a space race and it's making news and it gets the media coverage. The rockets are popping off. They're now hypnotizing the public into this Copernican ball Earth situation of exploring outer space. Before, it was all about exploring your space. You know what I'm saying? Exploring inner space, inner world. The Earth plane was being explored. Then they shut all that down. Now that we're just talking about finding more Earths in outer space. So every time they say, oh, we found another possibility, they're really referring to across the plane. They're really getting back to the real orientation popping off. How many more Earths are they exploring? And it goes on and on. It goes on and on. You see this inner ring here, outer ring here, right? Inner ring here, outer ring here, right? And on it goes. Middle Earth. Now we can get some more of that later. Let's just keep it popping. Let's just keep it pushing. This book is, this document is pretty dope. It's very dope, actually. Pull up all these links under featured link. This is the Flat Earth, a Plain Truth from the Ancients to the Abrahamic Bibles to modern times. And it's by James W. Lee, Iconoclast. Interesting. I'm just picking it up. It's 100 and something pages. We're going to be coming back and forth in this document throughout this series. And I'm just excited to start a whole new flat drop series. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. I like keeping it balanced with our approach to waking up. This is what the Creator put on my heart, on our heart at Drop Nation to approach our awakening, very structured, man. So whether we're talking flat drop, that's one area to wake up in. Whether you're talking the indigenous truth that you so-called black folk is right here. It's from right here. You're not from Africa. You're from right here. The ones here, you're from right here. And they all know it. So we talk that. We talk about our frequency, our 432, our tune-up, our octaves. We're going to get back in dodecahedrons next, platonic solids. And then we talk about, right in the gut bone, man, of the Creator's, laws, statutes, commandments, the Tanakh. We're always digging on script. Throughout the whole investigation, we're always digging on scripture, whether we're talking Torah, Tanakh, Sefer HaMitzvot, the Book of Jubilees, Targum, scripts, love to the family. Whatever we're digging on, it's a balance. Script, you are these people. You are the people of this book. You got to get the drop out of it. Then you connect it with your orientation, flat earth, firm, fixed, immovable. Then you connect it with your indigenous truth, and then you put your frequency on it. That's our four, corners right there. You know what I mean? That's our cross. That's our tau. The intersection of that is the mark, is the makir. And that's how we've been teaching over here since 2016. You go and dig on the recordation and surf the wave. You know what I'm saying? This is what we've been doing. So whenever we come back to this, go get those World Beyond the Pole series from 2016, 17, all that stuff. This is a brand new one, and it's one of my favorite things to dig on because it just seems to make sense, man, when we do it together. You know what I mean? So let's belly flop in this particular manuscript. Let's go. It says the world comes from the energy vortex created by the electromagnetic battery of our flat earth connected through the electrical charges. We're going to read about the electrical charges in the stratosphere and the mesosphere, emanating from the North Pole and Antarctic Circle of positive and negative energy charges. That's what we're talking about, a battery. Both positive charges and negative charges. The salt in the ocean provides the electrolyte catalyst to charge Earth's plasma battery field. Just a big old battery. This is what Nikola Tesla proved with his Tesla coil in his electromagnetic experiments when he was able to create artificial lightning storms. He was so successful that he found a way to use Earth's plasma field to generate the free energy for all. And we're about to get some drop on the moon. We've been digging on the moon a lot, but one scientist way back in, I don't know, the 30s or 40s, he was talking about the moon is plasma. It's not some solid rock. And he seemed very confident about that. You don't hear that no more. I mean, this interview's in black and white. So they ain't talking about the moon as plasma no more. Even when you think of it like that, you can see how it could be a hijack. You can see how it could be, certain things if you're just talking plasma and energy. And like Natural said, who put that moon there, man? Who put that electricity there? What's it generating? What's it absorbing? What's it picking up? What's it radiating? You know what I mean? What's it transmitting? You're just talking about a plasma field generating energy. Not just the moon, we're talking about the whole earth. But what energy is coming from the moon? Sadly, capitalist J.P. Morgan, who was financing Tesla's projects, abruptly stopped financing him because the banker could not make it profitable to give away energy for free. Those that run our world would not give us the free energy developed from Tesla way back in 1900s. This would likely end all wars and create world peace. The hijack don't want peace. Their peace is your destruction. That's it. Order over chaos, right? Most are completely unaware that we have the knowledge to produce free energy for all. Again, we are not. Why are we not taught this in our education systems? We all are contained in a plasma toroidal field of perpetual regeneration inside an enclosed system of vortex or whirling energy. Like Earth's enclosed electromagnetic system, humans are self-enclosed batteries as well. When someone is dying in a hospital, they will use electrical stimulation paddles of positive and negative energy to attempt to revive the person, give them some energy. When they arrive at the hospital, they are put on intravenous saline solutions to keep the electrical charge, man. Why they put the IV in you? What's up with the IV? What's up with the saline? What's up with the salt? It's to keep the electrical charge. Is that a good or a bad thing, huh? Doctors use paddles to resuscitate someone who is in cardiac arrest for this reason, right? They rub them together, they say clear, boom. What do they use to resuscitate the patient? Electric currents, just like the sea. that has currents. What else do doctors do? They perform surgery because it is an electrical surge to the body of the patient, thus surgery. Wow. Wow. Yeah, we're going to spend some time in this drop, man. I mean, this is a brand new flat drop series, man. 2020, here we come to go. We can see our own auras or light energies through Kirlian photography. These auras, or known by Christians as halos, are directly connected to the energy chakras in our body. When Kirlian photograph is used, show one's aura, often it will show different colors for different people. Oh, your aura's purple. Your aura's purple. That's interesting, man. We got to dig in this Kirlian photography, man. This represents the different vibrational frequencies that are dominant in each of us. For over 100 years, most world education systems have taught little to no flat earth history. Nah, they've taught zero in cosmology, thereby keeping us disconnected and uninformed from our rich historical ancient past. It was not until November of 2014 when an obscure, little-known 32-year-old American named Eric Dubay published his book, Flat Earth Conspiracy. Mr. Dubay runs the website Atlantic Conspiracy as well as having written two previous books, one of spiritual science, the other a conspiratorial book on occulted and hidden events of our history. On the onset of 2015, the Flat Earth story exploded onto the internet and became one of the top trending stories that year. Now, 2015, man, that's when we started our YouTube page, man. So, you know, this is following that Mayan calendar countdown, 2012. It seems to be one of the points that some of us, you know, really started to dig on and realize something ain't right about everything. And that kind of opened all the books up for investigation. The books became unsealed. Prior to reading Mr. Dubay's book, I personally have never heard of flat earth cosmology, but soon researched and educated myself to discover and uncover some very convincing evidence of a beautiful narrative about our place in the universe that was known by most ancient cultures. This led me to learn of the massive 500-year heliocentric lie. We're talking about Copernican, right? And sold by the Roman Catholic Church. So they had to sell this heliocentric sun in the center, as opposed to the geocentric, where the earth is the center, where the earth is the center, where the earth is the center. Let's go. So this changed to heliocentric. Now the sun's at the center and you're a ball revolving around it. Now you're worshiping the sun. Instead of the sun, you know, worshiping the energy that is you. You are the image. You are the sequence. You are the image. You are the frequency of Hawa. So the sun has to rock with you. That's why Joshua commands the sun to stand still, so he can finish whooping ass. You know what I'm saying? How could the sun stand still if you're revolving around it? Let's go. Let's pick it up from here. From first grade on, nearly every public classroom has a round ball earth globe. We have global corporations, global partnerships, and global interests. We fly around and span the globe in our wide world of sports. Each day we are shown perhaps hundreds of round ball earth images and logos in media, movies, and advertisements. We have been preconditioned to accept these images as truth without question or challenge. These images get tattooed onto our subconscious minds, reinforced over and over again. Few are even aware that the U.S. government and other governments around the world spend billions of dollars each and every year on what they call brain mapping, which deeply studies what goes on behind our eyes and between our ears. They hire the best and brightest PhD graduates who use algorithmic supercomputers to better understand how the human brain functions and what can be learned about control. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, what we're learning, man, is that all this is about control. You know what I'm saying? Why not any more explorations? You know what I'm saying? Why don't we hear about this stuff anymore? It's all about control. Controlling, you know what I mean, your perspective controls the entire, you know what I mean, outlook, because now you're not meditating on any reality whatsoever. Now you're meditating on the illusion. When I say earth, you got a ball in your head, right? When we talk earth, this is what you think of. Immediately, this is what you think of. This is the illusion. This is what's been, put as a lie, man. So that we're meditating on a lie. And this perpetuates the lie. This keeps the lie going, man. So what are we talking about here? Control of humans. Or what colleges call behavioral science. Behavioral science is what? Control of humans. What do you think those in power would be able to do if they can use the social devices we are now connected to manipulate? Let's bring it back. What do you think those in power would do if they can use the social devices we are now connected to manipulate our thoughts and actions at will? That's our reality today. They're manipulating your thoughts and your actions. Ain't you shopping for Christmas trees? Yeah. Oh, you must buy that diamond ring. You must buy that car. You must have that job. Come on, man. You must spend money to be able to control what we see, what we think, and what we do. This is all part of the technocracy that controls our culture. Beginning at very early ages, nearly all media is controlled by the wealthy elite. They give us the memes for our community discussions and school discourses. This includes the round spinning ball theory, said to be first proposed by Copernicus. Dig on it. In our dream, we have limitless resource, and the people yield themselves with perfect docility to our molding hand. This is a quote from Reverend Frederick T. Gates, business advisor to John D. Rockefeller, who founded the U.S. General Education Board in 1903. Did you know that Rockefeller founded the General Education Board? Before you go crazy about your educational degrees and, your high studies in this college and that school, do you know who founded the educational board? Now, what are they going to teach you? What is Rockefeller going to allow in the curriculum? Whatever he's going to allow is so that he can control your culture. We're talking behavioral science. We're talking about the control of humans, your brain. So this is a quote from the business advisor to John D. Rockefeller Sr., Reverend Frederick T. Gates. In our dream, we have limitless resources. And the people yield themselves with perfect docility, docile to our molding hand. The present educational conventions fade from our minds, and unhampered by tradition, we work our own goodwill upon a grateful and responsive rural folk. We shall not try to make these people or any of their children into philosophers or men of learning or of science. So they're talking about a dream. Now, who's surfing the wave? Who is surfing the wave? Don't you remember a dream? Don't you remember we read a poem about a dream? I mean, who's surfing the wave? Let go. Only dreams are true. Remember that? Worlds beyond the pole. F, Amadeo, G, and Nini. Pull up the links. Get the drop. It's a nice little timeline of the changing scene, man. Are we talking about this now? 1927, August, Picard. Are we talking about August? If it is so, the world will know it. Oh, that's okay. That's a quote from William Cardinal O'Connell, Archbishop of Boston, 1928. Giannini, since words cannot confirm you, words cannot deny you. It is your work and only you can give it. They couldn't confirm or deny the Stratosphere conclusions, you know what I mean, that was being presented, extremely scholastically, you know what I mean? And you got the drop, man. Only dreams are true. Let's get it again. The tangible and real on which our lives are based was yesterday's ideal, a rosy picture traced. Ain't you seen it already? In our dream, we have limitless power, resources, and the people yield themselves with perfect docility to our molding hand in our dream. Only dreams are true. The tangible and real on which our lives are based was yesterday's idea, a rosy picture traced by some quaint visionary. Whose dream? Who's the visionary? Rockefeller? Impractical, half cracked, painting his fancies airy. We're just talking about all these paintings, this fanciful paintings, painting his images, painting his fancies, nothing but paintings and paintings on paintings on paintings, man. Only dreams are true. Painting his fancies air, and now it's a solid fact. Don't argue with nobody, right? Because it's a solid fact. Of course the earth is round. Of course we're on a ball. Of course we're on a ball. It's a solid fact. Where's your stars, man? And where's your real photograph? Whenever we hold stable, dependable, and sane was once a hopeful fable of castles built in Spain before the fact, the fancy, before the deed, the dream that builds by sorcery, right? Necromancy, the hard material scheme. That's the matrix. But it started with the dream. So all your towers that shimmer, your lamps that light the sky, your stars were once a tiny glimmer within some seer's eye. They're all an illusion. Your stars are an illusion. I know you see them every night. But what are they? Separate, isolated bodies? Or are you just talking about a continuous, connected universe or plane that's connected, and you're just seeing what Giannini calls the illuminated sky areas, sky gas, different areas of different land areas. So if you look at it that way, that's just a bunch of land areas, man. Areas where there is more land. Time makes our empire scattered, but we shall build anew, for only visions matter. and only dreams are true. Now you're just living in the dream. Now the vision is the only thing that matters, and the dream is the only thing that's true. In our dream, we have limitless resources. The people yield themselves with perfect docility to our molding hand. The present educational conventions fade from our minds, and unhampered by traditions, we work our own goodwill upon a grateful and responsive. In their dreams, you're just grateful and responsive folk. We shall not try to make these people or any of their children into philosophers or men of learning or of science. So since you know the goal from Rockefeller is to make you ignorant to learning, ignorant to philosophy, ignorant to real science, then they can't be giving you real images. They must hide the real. These must be secret archives. This is not their plan for me to be addressing you with this image in front of you at all. That's not their dream. That's not their necromancy. The necromancy is to hide it. We shall not make these people or their children into philosophers, men of learning, or of science. They're not trying to make you real scientists, so they don't want to talk about true explorers, true investigators, true scientists. We are not to raise up among them authors, orators, poets, or men of letters. We shall not search for embryo great artists, painters, musicians. Nor will we cherish even the humbler ambition to raise up from among them lawyers, doctors, preachers, statesmen, of whom we now have ample supply. So in his dream, one day you just all gonna be dumbasses so that they can cast their spells. This is also why there's spells. This is also why there are spells taught in spelling classes in schools. Who's over the General Education Board? Surely they're teaching and promoting these spells in the classes, in the schools, right? And why those in power stay in power, they control what we learn from very early on. So now you old and we can't tell you shit because they filled your head with so much bullshit. It's become the hard material scheme. Now you got a hard head, right? Now you got a hard head because it's just full of a material scheme. Necromancy is spells. Necromancy is spells. That builds by necromancy. Before the deed, they had the dream, man. In our dream, we have limitless power. In our dream, these people are going to be nothing but dumbasses one day. And we'll be able to put these spells on them at a very early age. We'll control education. They control what we learn from very early on, and we have been doing so since mass education began in the Western world. Mass education. Oh, it's such a good thing. We all must have their education. What about your tribal education? What about your tribal flow? That's the past. We're all one now. We're all just one, really. Mass education. Research Indian schools. Before Harvard and Yale were some big time snooty college, they were Indian schools. They hoarded Indians and they put these spells and they act like they were educating us. A-E-I-O-U, right? That's the first spell they put on your ass. They've been doing so since mass education began in the Western world around the start of the Industrial de-evolution. The three richest men of the Industrial Revolution, Astor, Carnegie, and Rockefeller, held 30% more wealth than the richest men today. Gates, Buffett, and Ellison, they were able to buy influence in government, own the media, and sell to the public schooling. Who's over education again? So don't come to us with a public school education talking about, oh, this ball right here is a solid fact. These balls is a solid fact. Now it's a hard material scheme. And now it's a solid fact by some quaint visionary. You're in the mind of a hijack, dog. The visionary is over the educational board. The visionary controls public schooling. Today, we see the same nonprofit organizations, Carnegie, Rockefeller, Gates, anything to do with Bill Gates, still buying and controlling and influencing. Today, those in power only wish to have good, obedient, tax-paying workers. They instituted the progressive tax system in 1913. The same year, the for-profit private corporation Federal Reserve was created. Man, how to control your bank, right? To make it more difficult for others to accumulate the kind of wealth they still enjoy today. Once in power, stay in power is one of their mottos. That's why they tax you. That's why they, break bread off of you. So that they get a piece of everything you got, so that they can always be wealthier than you. And they keep breaking the rich, right? Half off, 50% tax, bang. You an athlete, pay half. You make $4 million a year, you got a $4 million contract, I get 2. Deal? Oh, you just signed for $160 million, 4 years, I get 80 of that. And on they go. Another is pray or pay. You're either at the table or on the table. Are you at the table or you on the table? And you know they ain't just talking metaphorically. They will eat your ass. We got that already, right? Who's eating the dragon? Who's eating the dragon? Now, this is a doc that we got a while back, man. And I'm just grateful to find it again. I said, man, it's going to be impossible to find this thing. It's going to be impossible to find this stuff. This is a very detailed document. It's a NASA document, National Aeronautics and Space Administration. What's the title? Derivation and Definition of a Linear Aircraft Model. Linear, it goes in a straight line, right? 1988 by Eugene L. Duke, Robert F. Antoniewicz, and Keith D. Cranber, Ames Research Center, Dryden Flight Research Facility, Edwards, California. Is it play? Pull it up. And don't lose it. Print it out or something. Let's just get the first piece of this. You see the context? They're going in, Earth's relativity, relative velocity, flight path, relative parameters, energy-related parameters. Let's get the first piece right here. Summary. Let's get it bigger because this is good. This report documents the derivation and definition of a linear aircraft model for the rigid aircraft or of constant mass flying over a flat, non-rotating Earth. Now, NASA, this is NASA, right? Hold up, make sure. Okay. All right, okay. This report documents the derivation and definition of a linear aircraft model for a rigid aircraft of constant mass flying over a flat, non-rotating Earth. Why would NASA specifically be engineering spacecraft? Because this is a space agency. It's not a commercial airplane agency. It's $1 billion, $1 trillion super black budget agency. Why are you deriving linear aircraft over a flat, non-rotating Earth, NASA? Does it have anything to do with this? Because to get to the other planes or planets, you have to go straight, not up. And they need aircraft that can reach other worlds beyond the poles. Etymology. We're going to talk dragons. There's always some dragon drop when you talk stratosphere. Because at the end of the day, the etymology of dragon is to see. Oh yeah, to see clearly. Are you seeing clearly yet? Etymology, give me I don't know, planet. Perhaps from the nasalized form pi root pele, flat. Oh, gotcha. Flat. Spread out. Got it. Man. Flat, right? Spread out, right? Flat. Can you tell me how you get flat out of planet? Or how do you get planet from flat? Flat. Plane. You can't talk planet without talking plane. Spread out. Flat. So when I say they go into these other planets or flats, spread out areas, what other flat spread out areas are we talking about? What other worlds beyond the poles are we talking about? What other planets flat spread out? Planet is not a ball, man. No, this is not flat. This is not spread out. Why are you calling this a planet if the etymology is flat, spread out? You mean to say, I want to get to another world. Now we're talking about throwing stones, right? At these planets, right? To make devious, repel, dissuade from the right path? Huh? Bewilder? Come on, man. Are they bewildering you? Are they dissuading you from the right path? Is this devious? Yes, this is very devious. To put this into a ball and tell you that it's finite, it's 25,000, square mile, circumference, whatever the case is, and you're on a ball and that's it, and that's as far as you're gonna go. This is now a ball, right? This is not a plane. They turn it into a ball, right? Love the sieves, man. They turn this into a planet ball thing, but that's not etymology, man. That's not etymologically correct. That is devious. That is bewilderment. That is dissuading you from the right path. Body bag, Daniel. This image is a devious image dissuading you from the right path. And they put this image right in the classroom, man. And they say, hey, either you're on the table or you're at the table. Yeah, man. NASA, why must you have a, detailed recon, high level experimentation talking about this rigid aircraft of constant mass flying over a flat, non-rotating Earth? The derivation makes no assumptions of reference trajectory or vehicle symmetry. The linear system equations are derived and evaluated along a general trajectory and include both aircraft dynamics and observation variables. The need for linear models of aircraft. Listen up. This is from NASA. The need for linear models of aircraft for the analysis of vehicle dynamics and control law design is well known. These models are widely used not only for computer applications, but also for quick approximations and desk calculations. So they're saying this is widely used. Widely used. Flat, non-rotating model. When it comes to these aircraft, it's widely used. Not only for computer applications, but also for quick approximations and desk calculations, whereas the use of these models is well understood and well documented. Models, they're using the flat, non-rotating Earth model. What happened in 1972 when this snapshot was taken? How many satellites were being launched? Why were they ending the Apollo, program at that time? What were they going into the dark for? Why haven't we been back to the plasma moon? These are great questions. It's been 40 years. Y'all ain't been back since. I think the gig is up, y'all. Because NASA's model is a flat, stationary model. NASA's model is a model for the flat, non-rotating Earth. These models are widely used. This report details the development of the linear model of a rigid aircraft of constant mass flying over a flat, non-rotating Earth. You get the rest, because there's a lot more to go into this trajectory business and these models. But at least you know what the summary is and you know what they're doing. Flat model. Flat, non-rotating Earth model. Let's go. So what is the stratosphere? Because, August Picard launched off into the stratosphere. The stratosphere is the layer of Earth's atmosphere, second layer. All right, let's keep going. We got some of this. Because of the temperature stratification, the There's a little convection and mixing in the stratosphere, so the layers of air there is quite stable. Commercial jet aircraft fly in the lower stratosphere to avoid the turbulence. Right. No turbulence in the stratosphere, huh? No turbulence. No turbulence in that linear model for these aircraft, right? We're just talking flat, non-rotating Earth. Again, do you think this plane is just flying and cruising with no turbulence on an Earth ball? This ball said to be spinning at 1,100 miles per hour, spinning at over 1,000 miles per hour, and you just flying with no turbulence. What about the ether? Oh, there's no ether. Abolish the ether, says Einstein. Love to my jigger, my naga. No ether. No space wind. Planet, planet, planet. Flat to spread on the notion of spread out. Yeah, it's getting quite devious around here, right? Let's go. So we're just getting the intro into the stratosphere so you can understand when you're in the aircraft, they're flying at the lower stratosphere to avoid the turbulence. They say, all right, the stratosphere is very dry. Air contains little vapor because it is few clouds are found in this layer. All right. Okay. Just for fun, let's go to the third layer, right? They say above this is the Mesosphere. That's when now this is when it starts getting really, really fun. This is when it starts getting, we start having too much fun now. Mesoamerica, Mesosphere, Moshesphere. The Mesosphere is a layer of Earth's atmosphere. The Mesosphere is directly above the stratosphere and below the Thermosphere. It extends from 50 to 85 kilometers, 31 to 53 miles. So you'll be in the Mesosphere up until about 53 miles when you go straight up. Like this balloon situation, like this August Picard situation, like this Giannini situation, right? Because in the world's beyond a pole. Back to the intro. The following pages contain the first and only description of the realistic universe of land, water, oxygen, vegetation, where human and other forms of animal life abound. This is not a work of fiction, man, nor is it a technical analysis of anything. It is a simple recital of #fact, which transcends the most elaborate fiction ever conceived. It transcends the most elaborate fiction ever conceived. It is diametrically opposed to the assumptions and the mathematical conclusions of theorists and technicians throughout the ages. It is truth. These pages describe the physical land routes from the Earth to every land area of the universe about us. Every land area of the universe. Such routes extend from beyond North and South Pole, so-called ends of the Earth, as decreed by theory. It will here be adequately shown that there are no northern and southern limits, man. There's no limits, man. There's no limits, man. You just keep going. That's celestial. Again, it is thereby shown where movement straight ahead from the pole points and on the same level, linear model, flat, non-rotating Earth, straight ahead, permits of movement into celestial land areas that appear up or out from the Earth. It's the appearance, it's the illusion, it's the necromancy we're born into in this matrix. It appears that the heavens and celestial are up when they're straight. You don't go up to get to these heavens. You go straight to get to the celestial land areas. You go straight. You go straight to get to the celestial land areas, man. The planets, man. The flat, spread out planets. Come on. Let's go. I told you it's getting good. We're just talking the Mesosphere, right? An original treatise book based to this book was written and has been expounded at American universities 1927 to 1930. So remember, 1931 is when Picard became the first man, they say, to reach the stratosphere, right? So we're talking the same loop, the same situation. Since then, the U.S. Naval Research Bureau and the U.S. Naval Exploratory Forces have conclusively confirmed the work's principal features. It's already been confirmed, my people. Since December 12, 1928, U.S. Navy polar expeditions have determined U.S. Navy polar expeditions. We just got that Admiral Byrd drop, right? Those were missions. Those were military missions that got worked by these dragons. Have determined the extent of indeterminable land. Indeterminable land, man. It just keeps on going. Indeterminable land. Beyond the pole points, out of bounds land, man. Of the assumed isolated globe. That's an illusion. Earth that's postulated by this hijacked city Copernican theory, 1543, January 13th, 1956. As this book was being prepared, a U.S. Naval Air Unit penetrated the extent of 2,300 miles beyond the assumed South Pole ends of the Earth. That flight was always over land, water, and ice. For very substantial reasons, the memorable flight received negligible press notice. United States and more than 30 other nations prepared unprecedented polar expeditions 1957 to 58. What's up with this Antarctic Treaty? The treaty entered into force in 1961. Come on, man. I can't make this shit up. The United States and more than 30 other nations. There ended up being 50-something people signed to this treaty, Antarctic Treaty, prepared polar expeditions, up until 1958 to penetrate land now proved to extend without limit beyond pole points. So 1961, they make the treaty. 2 or 3 years after their joint expeditions. My original disclosure of the then unknown land beyond the poles in 1926 to 28 was captioned by the press as more daring than anything Jules Verne's ever conceived. Today, 30 years later, the United States, Russia, Argentina, and other nations have bases on that realistic land extent, which is beyond the Earth. It is not space, as theory dictated. It is land and water of the same order that comprise known Earth territory. It's not space, man. There's no space in between it. It's land, water, vegetation, ice. United States, Russia, Argentina, and other nations have bases. Yeah, these are the same nations that are part of the treaty system, right? What are they keeping quiet? What are they keeping quiet, man? I mean, we're just talking about Earth Pond number 1. This is just Earth Pond 1. It's all good. This is just Earth Pond 1. It's all good. This work provides the first account of why it is unnecessary to attempt shooting up. That's why the rockets never go up or out from the terrestrial level for a journey to any of these astronomically named celestial land areas. It relates why such attempt would be futile. These pages present incontrovertible evidence that the same atmospheric density of this Earth prevails throughout the entire universe. Well, I can't go to Mars because of the atmosphere. It's the same atmosphere as Earth. Jupiter, same atmosphere on Earth. Saturn, same atmosphere of Earth. There's just more lands beyond the pole. And who knows, the firmament might cover it all. Do you doubt what the Creator can create? Do you have a small limitation or small limited perception of what your Creator can create? You think this is all your Creator can create? Your frame and your shaper? How big is the firmament really? It relates why such attempt would be futile. So they got the same atmospheric density no matter where you go. Such a feature proves that except for the presence of a gaseous sky envelope and underlying oxygen content equivalent to that of the Earth, we could never observe the luminous celestial areas or stars designated as a star or a planet, flat, spread out. It is shown here that in a determination of realistic cosmic values that the observed luminous areas of the universe about us represent celestial sky areas and that they are as continuous and connected as all areas of the Earth's continuous and connected sky. Hence, it is shown that there are no globular, globe, or isolated bodies. There are no such things as planets. There are no such things as planets. We just have planes. And they're straight, not up. They're straight ahead. And they're flat. Yes, sir. 1972, huh? 1972, huh? There are no globes, but they put it in your classroom to indoctrinate you, to be found throughout the whole universe. They are elements of lens deception. Accordingly, the absence of celestial bodies precludes any possibilities of bodies circling or eclipsing in space. There's nothing going around and around anything. This work is radically and rightfully opposed to astronomical conclusions of all ages. We're going to get a nice interview from another scientist who is also being very radical in his opposition to the astronomical conclusions of so-called science. It depicts the illusions developing from all telescopic observations and photographs of the universe about us. It clearly explains and vividly illustrates why those lens-developed illusions, I'm talking your telescope, have been mistakenly accepted as facts. Oh, solid facts now, right? Because this lens deception, remember they're seeing planets, they're making devious, dissuading from the right path, they're bewildering. Because instead of being flat spread out, now they got a ball. And we're just talking about lens deceptions when you deal with these so-called planets and stars. Lens-developed illusions have been mistakenly accepted as fact. This book is therefore unparalleled in the long history of man's attempted interpretation and recording of the universe about us. It projects man's first understanding of the factual and endless, infinite universe which contains human life throughout its vast length and width, regardless of all abstract theory or to the contrary, man. So this is a fact according to Giannini. Endless. Your creator continues to create endlessly, and that's pretty dope because when you think about it, you say, oh, well, what happens when my outer space theory is gone? There's not infinite space. Yes, there's infinite, land, water, vegetation. The plane is infinite, but not space, right? Because space, there's no outer space. You're not getting above the firmament. You're not getting anywhere up past a certain limit. But you can go straight. Perhaps endlessly you can go straight. Containing human life throughout. Uh-oh. We're talking about more Nagas, more Negroes, more Americans. The discovery of new worlds. They found you in a new world. In matter as in mind is but the logical outcome of the infinite universe. You're going to find new worlds. The further out you go, it's the logical outcome. It's to find more worlds. Now they said that Admiral Byrd was, looking around in the southern Pacific, finding more land. So he probably stumbled on one of these joints. Then he said he went, around the Arctic. You know what I mean? Hey, man. More land beyond the pole. So we're just rereading the introduction. You know what I mean? And then we're going to jump right back and get this again with a dragonfly perspective. This is reality. It is true, stranger than any fiction the world has ever known. There is no physical end to the Earth's northern and southern extent. The Earth merges with land areas of the universe about us that exist straight ahead, beyond the North Pole and South Pole points of theory. It is now established that we may at once journey into celestial land. Oh yeah, the heavens, right? By customary movement on the horizontal from beyond the pole points. It is also known that the flight course from this earth to connecting land areas of the universe about us, which appear up or out from the earth, will always be over land, water, vegetation, common to this earth. Never need we shoot up. You never need to go up, man, to get to the so-called planets as popular misconception demands. You don't have to go up to get to the stars. You don't have to go up to get to the planets. The planes. To reach celestial land existing under every luminous area, under every luminous sky area we observe at night. On the contrary, we will move straight ahead and on the same physical level from either of theory's imaginary poles. Again, where's your poles? It's an illusion. It's imaginary. And look, you do the drive, you do the recon. Confirmation of such a flight course is had in that the U.S. Navy Task Force of February 1947, which penetrated 1,700 miles beyond the North Pole Point and beyond the known Earth. Additional and more recent confirmation was acquired by the flight of the U.S. Navy Air Unit on January 13, 1956, which penetrated 2,300 miles, 2,000 miles over land beyond the so-called South Pole. If they're doing that, there is no ball. There is no space whatsoever. There's no space in between anything. It's just more connected land, more connected water, more connected ice, more connected vegetation. The atmosphere is the same. You just going straight. Now you try to get through the stratosphere to the mesosphere, the atmosphere changes because you're reaching another boundary, which will eventually hit the crystal Leviathan, the Leviathan scales. Remember, Leviathan was stretched out as a canopy to shelter the righteous, right? Is this canopy over our area, or is it over the whole area? But there's no space whatsoever between areas of the created universe, but there must deceptively, we're just talking about being devious, appear to be space in all observations. That apparent space results from the illusion of the globe, globularity, and isolation of celestial sky areas. The same illusory conditions have been proved to develop from observation of luminous outer sky areas of the terrestrial. Outer sky means the sky as it is observed against stratosphere darkness, man. The concept of the universe is comprised of globular, and isolated bodies, right? Originated from the curvature that is developed by all lenses. I ask you about your eyeball because your eyeball itself is curved. Your eyeball itself is a lens that is curved. Do you ever see reality out your own eyes? Out of your own curved lens? And what happens when your curved convex lens looks through another convex lens? You get a telescope. You get optical illusions. You get isolated globular bodies. Remember, the Pope has a telescope, right? Pope telescope. I didn't even have to put it in. It pops right up. Come on, man. I can't make this shit up. Lucifer instrument helps astronomers see through the darkness to the most distant observable objects. Lucifer, right? Courtesy of Lucifer. A new instrument with an evil sounding name. Yeah, a little bit. It's helping scientists see how stars are born. Lucifer, which stands for Large Binocular Telescope, near infrared utility with camera. Come on, man. Hijack City. Large Binocular Telescope, near infrared utility with camera and integral field unit for extragalactic research, is a chilled instrument attached to a telescope in Arizona. And yes, it's named for the devil, whose name itself means morning star. But it wasn't meant to evoke him, according to a spokesman at the University of Arizona, man. Can't make this shit up. Oh, let's be specific. Lucifer is helping Vatican astronomers look for extraterrestrial. I'll leave this link. Let's go. I can't make this shit up. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. The concept of the universe is comprised of globular and isolated bodies originated from the curvature that's developed by all lenses, and that lens developed curvature foster the deceptive, Lucifer, trickster appearance of these globular isolated bodies comprising the universe. The bodies are an illusion. The ancient conclusion of Galileo Galilei, that luminosity, right? Illumination, Illuminati, right? Lucifer. Celestial areas are isolated from each other. So they're saying, oh, here's the illusion. Celestial areas are isolated from each other and circling or eclipsing, right, in space, was found on the inescapable errors of lens functioning. Was it an accident? The circling movement apparent to Galileo is an illusion in an endless land and sky universe of reality. The undulating and billowing of luminous sky gas enveloping the entire universe must deceptively appear as a circling or eclipsing movement. The deceptive appearance develops from the fact that such gaseous sky movement is detected by circular lenses. Hence, there is necessarily reproduced the circular and therefore globular appearing lens image. Images. Hence, there is necessarily reproduced circular, globular appearing lens images. Any questions? Let's go back to the stratosphere or the mesosphere for the dismount. Now, this boundary between the mesosphere and the thermosphere above it, called the mesopause, at the bottom of the mesosphere is the stratopause, the boundary between the mesosphere and the stratosphere below. Listen up, the mesosphere is difficult to study, so less is known about this layer. Now, this is about to be a body bag, Daniel, for the dismount. Let's go. The mesosphere is difficult to study, so less is known about this layer of the atmosphere. Why is it so difficult to study? I mean, I thought they're going to Pluto. I thought they're going to the moon. I thought they're going to Mars. Surely if they're going to the moon, they can study the mesosphere. It's only about 50 miles, right? 30 to 53 miles above our plane. Where's the moon? How many miles is the moon away? But for some reason, 30 to 50 miles is difficult to study. Oh boy. So less is known. They don't know shit about this. Weather balloons and other aircraft cannot fly high enough to reach the mesosphere. Whoa. Body bag to the illusion, to the illusory images. Because aircraft cannot fly high enough to reach the mesosphere, and it's only 30 to 50 miles away. How is this possible? If you're going to the moon and back, what were they doing with the Apollo missions? What happened in 1972 where we got this image? Or should I say, this image? 1972. They can't even get to the mesosphere, man. Oh, come on, Jack. Come on, Jack, say it ain't so. Make sure we good. Wow. Okay, perfect. Let's do this for the dismount. Oh, man, it's a body bag, Daniel. Weather balloons and other aircraft. Didn't we just dig on this NASA drop of these aircraft, right? Linear models for aircraft because they're not going up, y'all. They're going straight ahead to more worlds beyond the pole. They've been doing this. The whole Antarctic Nazi situation. Again, check out that movie, P-51, Dragon Fighter, because their secret weapon was the dragons that they were able to hijack and breed to hijack. That's their secret weapon. You're just talking Antarctica, and they're trying to guard the barrier and keep you in Middle Earth. We're just talking Mesosphere. Aircraft cannot fly high enough to reach the mesosphere. Satellites orbit above the mesosphere and cannot directly measure traits of this layer. Really? So their satellites are just orbiting above the mesosphere, they say. But even though they went through it, even though they're above it, right? So they had to go through it. They still cannot directly measure it, cannot directly measure traits of this layer. Scientists use instruments on sounding rockets to sample the mesosphere directly, but such flights are brief and infrequent. But I thought you're going to Pluto. Why is a trip through the Earth, Mesosphere past the Stratosphere, why is that so brief? Why is it so infrequent? Why is so little known on this? Why can't aircraft fly high enough to reach it? Why, oh why, must you have a linear model? These models are widely used. This report details the development of linear straight line model of a rigid aircraft of constant mass flying over flat, non-rotating Earth. Is this the drop? Let's go. So, yeah, most meteors vaporize in this mesosphere. That got me thinking about the dragon drop, right? Meteors in the mesosphere, huh? Dragons in the mesosphere, huh? They had all kind of strange clouds, high altitude clouds, noctilucent clouds. These are peculiar clouds. They don't know much about them. Now, they said they got odd electrical discharges popping off, right? Just like this positive, negative, lightnings and, lightning storms. Battery, right? Battery. Electrical discharges akin to lightning called sprites and elves, man. I was watching the Dragon Prince. They got them elves, you know what I'm saying? You got the sprites or the spirits, elves, occasionally appear in the mesosphere, man. I can't make this shit up. Come on, man. So you got electrical charges. This reminds me of the, How to Train Your Dragon, the Toothless, Night Fury, kicking off all that lightning and all that stuff. Electric charges akin to lightning. Spirits or sprites, elves occasionally appear in the mesosphere above the thunderclouds. All right, let's keep it going. It's a link called whatsupwiththat.com. NASA, back to NASA. NASA is seeing sprites or spirits. High above the clouds during the thunderstorms, 50 miles above the earth, different kinds of lightning dances. They're often only visible to those in flight above the storm. It happens so quickly you might not even see it unless you chance to be looking directly at it. One hard to reach place gets a good view of these sprites. Oh, the International Space Station. They see them all the time. Got it. Filming at 10,000 frames per second on 2 separate jets, the team recorded some of the best movies of sprites ever taken. This is a poorly understood phenomenon. They don't know shit about it, man. They don't know shit about it. Look at them dancing. Whoa. Y'all see that? Man, one more time, man. Okay. I mean, that's all they got. It's a They're saying it's related to the lightning, the interchange of energy between them. We're just talking Mesosphere. Pull up this link. Transient natural events, mythopedia.info. Beginning with some of the classic philosophers, scholars have pondered the nature and origin of mythology for centuries, yet while respectable disciplines such as astronomy, physics, geology, biology, archaeology, linguistics gradually matured, the field of mythology continued to lack they label it mythology because it's poorly understood, right? Employing structural, historical, comparative methods of reconstruction akin to those applied in linguistics and evolutionary biology, it is possible to establish a theoretical foundation for a new direction in this discipline. And this transient natural events are recognized as the source of inspiration for the most salient themes. The most challenging types of historical information concerning the cosmos are those that were traditionally invested with sentiments of sacrality, reverence, fear, worship, principal ingredients of religion. Now you got the angels, or we're just talking dragons. We're just talking about the Mesosphere. We're talking about the ether. I think this was some dragon drop in here. Hold up, man. Hold up, man. It says Parantomythology is the mythology concerning contemporary and relatively common phenomena in the natural world, typically given in the form of prose scientific explanations. Examples of parantomyths are the widespread beliefs that lightning is produced by a so-called thunderbird or lightning bird, like Toothless Man, like the Night Fury, or the common interpretation of the rainbow or the Milky Way as a snake or dragon. That was another dragon drop. I had seen another one earlier than that. Let's see. Let's go back a little bit. Geomythology, huh? Man, I'm just surfing the wave, man. I pulled a few of these up so I could read them with y'all. I'm just trying to get right to this drop, though. Where's it at? Deities. Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about this plasma, man. We're about to get on this plasma. See where I saw that other dragon drop around here, man. Don't want want to miss it. I don't want to miss it. Sometimes I be seeing stuff, man, after I finish the lessons. I be like, oh man, there it goes. Man. Gotta check it out over here. Yeah. Okay. Geomythology. Let's pick it up from here. It says the field studies geologically relevant information in mythology and other historical sources with a stronger emphasis on transient events than on regular ones. Geomythologists concentrate on possible mythologized reports. They keep having to throw myth in there, right? Just to throw your brain off. Stay focused. Reports of historical tsunamis and volcanic eruptions, and the idea that ancient discoveries of fossils such as of dinosaurs and Pleistocenic megafauna contributed to the belief in fabulous creatures such as dragons. So in recent decades, the potential of transient events as a crucial key towards understanding traditional materials was recognized by a group of scholars representing the nascent subdiscipline of geomythology. So when it came to the Mesosphere, when it came to the Earth plane, they had to create they had to create sections of what they call mythology, which they know is not a myth, but this is the only way they can, categorize it publicly. And they're saying that geomythologists concentrate on possible reports, mythologized reports of historical volcanic eruptions and the idea of the ancient discovery of fossils, dinosaurs, all right, contributing to the belief in fabulous creatures such as dragons, man. What do the dragons have to do with these transient natural events? What do dragons have to do with the Mesosphere? That's a decent question, man. What do dragons have to do with the Mesosphere? What do dragons have to do with these discharges, right? This energy of the Mesosphere. What does it got to do with these sprites? Okay. There's a comment I wanted to get on one of these. Let's see if we can find it. Let's get this one here from Richard Hall. He said Tibetan monks have recorded seeing them for hundreds of years. We're talking about the sprites or elves, the energy in the Mesosphere, the whole myth, right? Geomythology of dragons is due to these observations. What do dragons have to do with the Mesosphere? Because the whole drop on dragons is due. Is due to these observations. They talk about the energy drawing into the earth during the winter and reappearing again in the spring, and noted the severity of the monsoonal storms related to the occurrence of the what? Red and blue dragons fighting in the sky. Dragons fighting in the sky. Comets, meteors, sprites, elves. Huh? Now we're digging on Chinese maps, Japanese maps. We're talking about Tibetan monks. Recorded seeing them for hundreds of years. What did the Tibetan monks really record seeing? Red and blue dragons fighting in the sky over the most severe storms that resulted in heavy flooding. Then we talk about the comet of 1812. Heavy flooding in the lowlands and resulted deaths. Dragons fighting in the sky. We got on that series, go back and get it. Dragons fighting in the sky. We did a few parts on that. Just, look it up. Just say khandrop, dragons fighting in the sky. You're going to see something pop up. A whole series on this as well. Get our angels, our dragon series as well. All of this is connection with a massive amount of documentation behind it. Red and blue dragons fighting in the sky. What's got to do with the red kachina, blue kachina? We got dragons fighting in the sky. We're just talking the Mesosphere, right? Just talking the Mesosphere. Contributed to the belief in fabulous creatures such as dragons, geomythology. Yeah. Yeah, man. We're just talking about the Mesosphere. It's so difficult to study. Less is known about this layer. Aircraft cannot fly high enough to reach the Mesosphere. They can't get to the dragons fighting in the sky, but somehow the satellites can get through it, above it, but they cannot directly measure it. They can't directly measure it. Let's keep going, man. Red and blue dragons fighting in the sky. So what's the stratosphere? Let's get these couple drops, man. Oh, yeah. All right. It's going to be a good dismount, man. Let's just surf the wave. Let's go, man. This will be the best dismount of all time. What is the stratosphere? Secrets of the stratosphere. That's only 2 minutes. Love the British path. Let's go.
The eyes of science and aviation are on the new cult of stratosphere ballooning. But just what is the stratosphere? Well, we'll tell you. The Earth is enveloped in a sea of air which we call atmosphere. The higher one goes, the colder it becomes. Viewing the Earth from this angle, we see the
Dodge the hijack. Flat plane. Let's go.
atmosphere divided into several well-defined layers. The innermost of these is called the troposphere. It's the air in which we live. Above the troposphere is the stratosphere, a much thinner mixture. The troposphere reaches to a height of 6 to 10 miles. Mount Everest, the very top of our Earth world, rises 5.5 miles above sea level, more than halfway to the stratosphere. Now, the troposphere is constantly in motion due to its proximity to the Earth's surface. But above, in the stratosphere, there are neither storms, winds, ice, rain, or fog. Silence reigns eternally in the icy coldness of 70 degrees below zero. The sun and stars shine brightly in a purplish-black sky. From the vast space between the stars far above the stratosphere come the cosmic rays, which are believed to be the key to the creation of matter. To study them, experimenters have fitted their laboratories into giant balloons. Endeavoring to get above the Earth's storms and disturbances, they rise into the void of perpetual calm and quiet in order to study what is over and beyond. The highest an aeroplane has ever flown is 8.5 miles. But in 1932, Professor Pickard made the first scientific flight, achieving a height of 10.1 miles. In 1933, Settle and Ford near the United States Army rose to an altitude of 11.5 miles, obtaining more valuable data.
They're just trying to get higher and higher, man. Look up Operation Fishbowl. They're just trying to blow through the firmament, man. They're just trying to get higher and higher. They're just trying to get higher and higher.
Soviet airmen then broke the record and attained a height of 11.8 miles. There is a limit to which free balloons can ascend, so perhaps the future of stratosphere exploration lies in the rocket type of ship, and there's no telling what wonders will be discovered. It has been proved that stratosphere flying is practical. Aeroplanes will be able to shake off the resistance of dense, heavy airs as they rise higher into the stratosphere and reach 500 miles an hour. Commerce will then be able to speed from America to Europe overnight.
Ain't that pretty much what they doing, right? They're flying right in the stratosphere, right below it, right? I told you we got this scientist that went against all popular opinion. Let's get a few minutes of this. I told you this would be the best dismount of all time. This scientist says the moon is plasma. Let go.
And apparently unchanging. And yet, it is part of my new conception about the nature of the world at this same sea. Many times in the past history of our Earth has rolled over the surfaces of the land masses, sweeping away all life and vegetation, and eventually returning again to its former bed.
This is the part of the biblical theory of the flood and the theory of people of other races.
Oh yes, this actual event, the last one, is recorded in all the sacred scriptures of all the old civilizations, from the Hindus to the Bible.
Everybody got the drop on the flood. Listen up.
Mr. Foster, before we go on with that, you've made a number of predictions, scientific predictions, which you claim have come true. Now, what are those predictions, and how do you make this claim?
Well, they are all based on the new notion that the physical invariance principles of contemporary science are invalid. And I stated this first in a manuscript reviewed in Australia in 1954. And the validity of this statement was confirmed finally last year at Princeton, when the principle of time reversal invariance was found to be invalid.
Well, then who accepts the fact that you have made these predictions accurately?
Well, the facts as such are undeniable and must be accepted because they're documented. And
the facts are undeniable. They must be accepted. This is back in, 1965?
It was accepted as such at Oxford, at Tasmanian University, and also at the National University. The facts as such are accepted, but the explanations and the new views as yet are not.
Do you mean to say that you reject all the basic principles of science established since Aristotle's day?
No, it does not mean that. I state and maintain that those concepts and interpretations of science, which are still based today on Aristotelian logic, have a certain purpose, but that is defined by a statement as that a spade is a spade or a fine chisel is a fine chisel. But these concepts are inadequate for a complete understanding of the real nature of the world.
How is it possible, Mr. Foster, that you as an individual can work out these theories when all the other established scientists have computers and all the money of governments behind them, and yet they apparently can't?
What?
Same question I asked today. How can Drop Nation, man? How does it make sense that y'all can have your own theories and come to your own conclusions when all the scientists, Neil deGrasse Tyson says the Earth is a pear, man? A pear, man.
Well, I do not claim at all that it is due to my own intellect or my own penetration. I have been deeply interested from early youth in the real nature of the world, and I held my own views and ideas. But many years ago, about 14 years ago, when I was challenging one of the fundamental conventional principles of science, I had a definite inspiration. Not knowledge as such, but an indication and a guidance which I followed and which I worked very hard to evolve into a new structure of understanding.
In inspirations are related to thoughts of genius. Do you think or consider yourself to be a genius?
No. I consider myself to be an ordinary, humble person who wants to serve mankind with what man has striven for from the beginning of consciousness, with truth and understanding of the world.
Well, now, one thing, you have a theory about the moon, and we expect to be able to get observable facts about the moon
Listen
very
up.
soon. What is your theory?
Well, it is by now rather more than a theory. Anyway,
It's a fact.
11 years ago, I stated to various scientists that the moon is not a piece of rock, but it is a plasma phenomenon, cosmic plasma.
Whoa.
11 years ago, I stated to various scientists that the moon is not a piece of rock, but it is a plasma phenomenon, cosmic plasma, and that this fact will eventually be confirmed. I made certain predictions which were already confirmed in 1958, and the situation now is coming close to a complete confirmation.
What will be the result if you're proved to be correct in your theories?
The result will be profound and decisive, because it will give proof that a complete reinvestigation of the laws of nature is necessary. Because if the moon is a plasma, no man will ever land on it.
Whoa. If the moon is a plasma, ain't no landing on the moon. Apollo astronaut. Apollo. Who's the god of Atlantis? Apollo. Cynocephalus. Deception. Remember, the Pope got a telescope called Lucifer.
Your theories.
The result will be profound and decisive, because it will give proof that a complete reinvestigation of the laws of nature is necessary. Because if the moon is a plasma, no man will ever land on it. Self-landing attempts will all fail. That means that the mass of the moon is far less than is currently assumed. It's in a different state.
It's far less. It's a smaller object, like the Book of Enoch. It's only 32 miles in diameter, not thousands or whatever the case they say.
Energy, and it has far less mass. That means there is no more explanation for the tides. If the moon, for example, had only 1,000th part of its current mass, then the tides would only be 2 inches high under conventional theories, instead of sometimes 14 feet.
The moon has nothing to do with the tides.
And that means that if it is proved that the moon is a plasma, then all gravitational theories are out, and the new concept of the cosmos and of its laws has to be
Ooh, gravity is out of your model, man. If the moon's a plasma, man.
far less than is currently assumed. It's in a different state of energy, and it has far less mass. That means there is no more explanation for the tides. If the moon, for example, had only 1,000th part of its current mass, then the tides would only be 2 inches high under conventional theories, instead of sometimes 14 feet. And that means that if it is proved that the moon is a plasma, then all gravitational theories are out, and the new concept of the cosmos and of its laws has to be evolved.
Bang.
Aren't you being a bit adventurous, though, because you know we're going to be able to test out your theories on the moon fairly soon?
Well, not anymore. 11 years ago, of course, it was rather taking a risk. I was considered a lunatic, of course. But by now, the evidence, accumulated evidence, is already so much in my favor.
Wow.
That I'm not taking any risks anymore.
Wow. He says, my theory is solid, Jack. I'm not taking no risk. Maybe 11 years ago, it would have been that way before I got on my recon, but now it's impossible. Look how confident energy, frequency, vibration. What are you vibing off of this, scientist here in 1965? You think he's weak-minded? You think he's bullshitting? You think he's part of the program? He's saying, nah, ain't no big-ass moons. It's super small, and it's plasma. It's in a different state of energy. It has nothing to do with the tides. Your gravitation's out of here. Your god of gravity is out of here. You ain't never landing on no damn moon. So did they ever land on the moon, man? Shout out to the brother Vincent Rhodes, who's been digging on this flat drop, man, rather consistently, I would say. Who's been doing his own recon, and he has his own team of reconners, man. And I appreciate the energy the bro's putting into this reality. Let's get a piece of this for the dismount.
Remember this: the only reason people believe the Earth is round is because of the images of a round Earth from the moon. And I'll tell you something that really, really gets me. I have actually a few friends that say, you know what, I don't believe that we landed on the moon, but I still believe the Earth is round. So I have to tell them, I says, well, if we didn't land on the moon, then the pictures of the Earth, of the round Earth, aren't real because they couldn't go there to take them. And that's what and they're like, wait a minute, you're right. You know, because the only true, if you look up all the images and pictures, well, I'm going to say images of the Earth, they're all computer generated images, but they would tell you that the pictures taken from the moon, from the Apollo missions, were the only true, real pictures of the Earth. So if the moon landing never happened, then those pictures never happened. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. If those are the only true pictures of the Earth, and those are the ones that we are relying upon,
right,
as the legitimate proof that Aristotle was right and that the Earth is really a sphere,
right,
then there's that, you know, you can't really say it because if the moon landing never happened, then yes, that is proof that it's fake. You know, that that our whole reality realm of the understanding is fake, unless they're just going to continue to push the envelope.
Well, I mean,
go ahead.
They admit that, you know, as far as they can go is low Earth orbit. So in any picture that we see from low Earth orbit, it's always the same picture. We see
low Earth orbit. They can't even get through the Mesosphere, man.
a piece of a so-called satellite. We see an eighth of the Earth in the background, and then we see an astronaut fumbling around, acting like he's working on something in every single video. So they say that you have to be as far away as the moon to see the whole sphere of the.
Right.
So that right there alone tells you that any picture that has been fabricated since the Apollo missions isn't a real picture.
Right.
So if we can prove that the Apollo missions were fake and they never went to the moon, then so are the pictures.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, now, they did say that they had a satellite
listen up.
that went out into space and turned around and took a photo of the Earth as it was leaving.
Okay.
But again, that's just money in the water, you know. Satellite out in space takes picture of Earth. I'm trying to think about which satellite that was. They said that they had. And maybe some of you guys in the chat already know. But there was a satellite that was supposed to have went so far out in space that it was the one that finally went back and took a picture of the Earth. So they're trying to cover their tracks with that. That it went way out, so far out, that it was able to actually take a full photograph.
It went so far out, it was able to take a photograph. We're on an investigation. This picture, has this it's marked here 1972 Flat Earth Secret Worksheeld USA Archives. Were there any satellites in play? I mean, this is when I got to thinking. I said, he's talking about satellites taking a picture of the Earth, and we're just talking about 1972.
and also sent it back via satellite transmission, which is suspect. I was my son has started to play basketball, and I've been out in different rural areas, and I'm telling you, there's not a lot of cell phone connection when you get far away from the cities.
Yeah, man. If you had a satellite roaming above Earth, how come there's all these dead spots, right? Because in reality, it's just tower to tower. You got to be close to one of these cell phone towers that is based on the linear model. They're planted, throughout the plane. But if you had a satellite so far above orbiting, there shouldn't be no cable issues. DirecTV shouldn't be having to face my antenna, a certain way to these to these towers instead of just pointing it straight up. Because what is getting in between, my transmission for real? If it's straight up, if the satellite's so far up, what tree is blocking me? Like, what am I being blocked by? Unless everything was in a level plane and I'm literally being blocked because the towers are level with me and something is, obstructing this particular transmission. Now, again, he said a satellite lifted off, took a picture, and he's looking for that satellite. And get the rest of this, man. Love to Vincent Road. Vincent Road doing great work. Let's go. For the dismount, here's just a few satellites to look into, man. And we'll continue with our investigation. What satellites? So we got to narrow down the satellites so we can get to the bottom, of the drive. Because all we trying to do is get the drive. Because we got the drive. Who took this picture? Which one of you satellites is responsible for taking this picture? What's the drive? This is 1972 picture. What satellites were launched in 1972? You have this ESA, SRO-4, 1972. The SRO-4, European Space Research Organization satellite, carried 5 experiments concentrating on Earth's ionosphere, atmosphere, mesosphere, radiation belts. Can they get through the radiation belt? I think not. Can they get through the mesosphere? I think not. And penetration of solar particle radiations into the magnetosphere. Oh man, got a lot going on with these spheres, huh? It was launched on November 22nd, 1972. Okay, we're just trying to round a few bases here. Hold up, man. Oh yeah. We're just trying to round a few bases, man. Who's responsible? Which one of you satellites is responsible for this picture in 1972? Is it you, SRO? All right, this was November 22nd, 1972 on a NASA Scout rocket. From the Western Test Range in California. A NASA Scout rocket from the Western Test Range in California. So it would have taken off from around here and came over this side, and took a picture. All right, that's one option. Pull up all these links. You got the drive. You have the Landsat 1 launched July 1972. Oh, there's a lot of satellites in the air in 1972. Landsat, formerly known as the Earth Resource Technology Satellite, ERTS, was launched. It was the first Earth observing satellite. This one looks real good, boss. Because this was the first Earth observing satellite. Is it observing the Earth? Did it take a picture? Come on, Colombo. We're getting closer. First Earth-observing satellite to be launched with the intent of studying and monitoring the Earth's land masses. The Landsat program has successfully launched 7 satellites, including the newest one. Okay. Who else was in the proximity, you know what I mean, to take that photo? All right, when you dig on 1972 in space flight, this little wiki link here. 1972 saw humanity's last, now this is very important. 1972, where this picture was taken, saw humanity's last manned mission to the moon of the 20th century, Apollo 17. Apollo was popping off, the last manned mission to the moon. You ain't been back since 1972 and Apollo 17. Meanwhile, there's all these other satellites to observe the Earth, but they're telling you they're going to the moon, right? You know, check out all these rockets popping off in 1972. You got Atlas. We got another culprit, Atlas SLV-3C Centaur, launching out of Cape Canaveral. All right. You got Thor popping off, Thor Delta. You got Proton. You got Luna. You got Atlas, like Atlantis. You got Thor Delta, Thor Burner. All their Atlantean names, right, to cover up their Atlantean deception. You got Saturn V. Need I say more? Thorad. Apollo 16. Thorad. Atlantis. Atlas. R7. Delta. All these popped off in 1972. Deep space rendezvous in 1972. Did they go into deep space? Or are we just talking more worlds? More worlds beyond the pole. Did they go into deep space or did they go into the infinite plane? Did they follow the steps of Admiral Richard Byrd, going past the Pacific South Pacific into more worlds? Which way did they go, George? Which way did they go? So far, we're trying to find the sticky fingers that took that photo, right? We want to find sticky fingers responsible for this photo in 1972. You got the ESA, ESRO 4. Man, you got the Landsat 1. And then you got a gang of these space rendezvous popping off in 1972, including Apollo 17. What else? Oh yeah, we got Apollo 17 on and cracking. Pull up the links, you can read more about it and see what you got, man. Apollo 17 was on and cracking. Remember, we're talking moon plasma. He was very confident that can't nobody land on his damn moon, but suddenly they're now in the, Stanley Kubrick. Stanley Kubrick, I forgot which movie he based this on. Was it Clockwork Orange? Oh man, one of those, movies he used as the film set, talking about. So this was all just a film set, man. This was all just Hollywood filming. You got a waving flag, you got all this bullshit, right? You got no stars in the background, this bullshit. Who else was in the vicinity, man? Who else was in the proximity to take that photo in 1972? You got Pioneer 10 popping off, or Pioneer F, an American space probe launched in 1972. You read about it. What else we got, man? What else we got in 1972? Declassified. Boss. This one looks good. 1972. Spy satellite capsules, deep sea rescue. So the official story is that they were rescuing some deep sea satellite. Maybe they were, because maybe that satellite took a photograph. Come on, Drop Nation. We on an investigation in real time. Maybe that doggone, what they call hexagon, Saturn again. Let's go. 1972, a top secret U.S. spy satellite. Who was he spying on? Was he taking some pictures? Don't spies take pictures? It sank to the ocean floor. Here's how it was rescued. The National Reconnaissance. Who was doing that recon, man? Who was doing that recon? Who's doing the recon? Release graphic depicts the huge hexagon spy satellite, a Cold War era surveillance craft that flew reconnaissance missions. Now, do you believe that they were doing Cold War surveillance, since you know that Russia, wasn't Russia part of this Antarctic Treaty that we were talking about here? Soviet Union. This treaty's in 1961. So how can we have a treaty with Russia yet be going to war with Russia? Ain't that the purpose of a treaty system? Got you. So there's a spy satellite popping off. Did this satellite take that picture? Let's go. Oh yeah, there's more. But wait, there's more. This is from Wired.com. You got the Skylab, Salyut Space Laboratory, 1972. Oh man, it was such a good year in 1972. Such a good year in 1972. The 5 F-1 engines at the base of the last Satellite 5 rocket to fly ignited, engulfing Pad 39A at Kennedy Space Center in orange flames and gray smoke. Seconds later, the hold down arms on the launch pad swung clear, and the giant white and black rocket began its thundering ascent. The last Saturn V bore aloft the Skylab orbital workshop, a temporary space station. Skylab was the last vestige of NASA's ill-fated Apollo applications project. Is it play? Is it play? Because it seems to have everything to do with satellites. It seems to have everything to do with satellites being launched in 1972. And we're just on an investigation to find out who's responsible for this photograph, who took this picture, who's responsible for this photograph in 1972. Because it says 1972, Flat Earth Secret Worksheeld, U.S. Archives. Flat Earth Secret Worksheeld, U.S. Archives. Flat Earth Secret Worksheeld. And we know that NASA's been busy deriving these linear model aircraft for the flat, non-rotating Earth. Are they also taking pictures of the flat, stationary plane? Ahchwa. Do you live on a ball? Do you believe the hype? Do you believe these composites? Do you believe these computer-generated images? Or are you starting to see clearly that when we talk planet, you're simply talking a plane of existence, multiple planes of existence, flat, spread out planes of existence. All praise the Creator for the discernment and the wisdom to continue our investigation of the worlds beyond the poles. The deceptive appearance develops from the fact that such gaseous sky movement is detected by a circular lens. Hence, there is necessarily reproduced a circular and therefore globular appearing lens image under the mobile sky gas, which extends throughout his celestial rim. there is undetectable but very factual land, water, vegetation, and life like that common to this earth. Therefore, the so-called stars and planets, flat spread out, of astronomical designation are in reality lens produce apparently globular isolated areas of a continuous, unbroken, luminous celestial outer sky surface. It envelops every land area of the celestial in the same manner that it envelopes the terrestrial land. Envelopes the terrestrial land. Ahab to Ahchwa Sonia for this gift, hashtag gift. And she has much more coming for the Prester John series. Please believe that. Please believe that. Because we're just over here surfing the wave. August Picard became the first man to reach the stratosphere. Pow wow. You are firm, fixed, and immovable. Shabbat Shalom to the home team. Oh, wow. Y'all keep surfing the wave. Keep staying up. Keep suiting up. And keep on choosing up. Because Drop Nation, we got the water. We just talking about the waters above. The flat, stationary plane of existence. The infinite plane. Your reality continues. Allowed by Drop Nation.